Hello viewers. Welcome to Seek Wisdom. We thank you for selecting to play this video. Today in this video, we present the summary of the book, The Almanack of Naval Ravikant, written by Jorgenson. Naval Ravikant is an entrepreneur, philosopher, and investor who has captivated the world with his principles for building wealth and creating long-term happiness. This book is prepared by composing the wisdom of Naval Ravikant through his various interviews, tweets and other sources. Using this philosophy, you will learn how to walk your own unique path toward a happier, wealthier life. This book is in two parts. Understanding how wealth is created and happiness. Let's start with creating wealth. Creating wealth is not really about hard work. Getting rich is about knowing what to do, who to do it with, and when to do it. If you don't know yet what you should work on, the most important thing is to figure it out. Seek wealth, not money or status. Understand the difference between these. Wealth is having assets that earn while you sleep. Money is how we transfer time and wealth. Status is your place in the social hierarchy. Ignore people playing status games. They gain status by attacking people playing wealth creation games. Naval's wisdom summarizes as productize yourself. Like if you're looking toward the long-term goal of getting wealthy, you should ask yourself, is this authentic to me? Is it myself that I'm projecting? And then, am I productizing it? But it can take decades, not to execute, but the better part of a decade may be figuring out what you can uniquely provide. Society always wants new things. And if you want to be wealthy, you want to figure out which one of those things you can provide for society that it does not yet know how to get but it will want, and providing it is natural to you, within your skill set, and within your capabilities. Then, you have to figure out how to scale it, because if you only build one, that's not enough. Find and build specific knowledge. Specific knowledge means figuring out what you were doing as a kid or teenager almost effortlessly. That could be sales skills, musical talents, love for science fiction, playing a lot of games. Specific knowledge is found much more by pursuing your innate talents, your genuine curiosity, and your passion. It's not by going to school for whatever is the hottest job. And you can build a business, and create a product, and build wealth, and make people happy just uniquely expressing yourself through the internet. If you are fundamentally building and marketing something that is an extension of who you are, no one can compete with you on that. The most important skill for getting rich is becoming a perpetual learner. You have to know how to learn anything you want to learn. Focus on foundation of any subject. Foundations are super important. They are key. Understand the role of long-term. Compound interest is a very powerful concept which applies to more than just compounding capital. Compounding in business relationships is very important. If you have a sterling reputation and you keep building it for decades upon decades, people will notice. When you find the right thing to do, when you find the right people to work with, invest deeply. Keep in mind that 99% of effort is wasted. Since childhood, you had learned a lot. But does everything you learnt is useful? But yes, nothing is ever completely wasted because it's all a learning moment. But at least when it comes to the goal-oriented life, only about 1% of the efforts you made paid off. When you find the 1% of your discipline which will not be wasted, which you'll be able to invest in for the rest of your life, go all in and forget about the rest. To get rich, you need leverage. Leverage comes in labor, capital, or through code or media. So to get these things, you have to build credibility, and you have to do it under your own name as much as possible, which is risky. Which means you have to take on accountability, which is a double-edged thing. It allows you to take credit when things go well and to bear the brunt of the failure when things go badly. But you will be the one reaping the rewards. However, downside risks with accountability not that large, as people will forgive failures as long as you were honest and made a high integrity effort. Next comes about ownership versus wage work. If you are paid for renting out your time, you can make some money, but you're not going to make the money that gives you financial freedom. In any salaried job, you're putting in the hours, and you get paid for every hour. You are not earning while sleeping, or after retirement. To gain financial freedom, you must own equity, a piece of a business. Owning equity in a company basically means you own the upside. If you don't own equity in a business, your odds of making money are very slim. You could own equity as a small shareholder, or you could also own it as an owner where you started a company. Ownership is really important. Follow your genuine intellectual curiosity. Do things for their own sake. That is one definition of art. Whether it's business, exercise, romance, friendship, whatever. When you do things for their own sake, you create your best work. Even if you're just trying to make money, you will actually be the most successful. Next comes about finding your position of leverage. There are 3 broad classes of leverage. One form of leverage is labor, the oldest form of leverage. This is the worst form of leverage that you could possibly use, as managing other people is incredibly messy. Money is good as a form of leverage. It means every time you make a decision, you multiply it with money. It's probably been the dominant form of leverage in the last century. The final form of leverage is products with no marginal cost of replication. This includes books, media, movies, and code. All you need is a computer. The most interesting and the most important form of leverage is the idea of products that have no marginal cost of replication. Coding, writing books, recording podcasts, tweeting, YouTubing, these kinds of things are permissionless. If you have specific knowledge, you have accountability and you have leverage. They have to pay you what you're worth. If they pay you what you're worth, then you can get your time back. Tools and leverage create disconnection between inputs and outputs. The higher the creativity component of a profession, the more likely it is to have disconnected inputs and outputs. Learn to sell, learn to build. If you can do both, you will be unstoppable. Earn with your mind, not your time. The one thing you have to avoid is the risk of ruin. So, don't do anything illegal. Don't gamble everything on one go. Instead, take rationally optimistic bets with big upsides. Value your time at an hourly rate. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. You just have to set a very high personal hourly rate, and you have to stick to it. Outsource something or not do something for less than your hourly rate. When you try and do business with somebody, if you have any bad thoughts or any judgments about them, they will feel it. You have to get out of a relative mindset. Be optimistic, be positive. Optimists actually do better in the long run. There are fundamentally 2 huge games in life that people play. One is the money game. Money is not going to solve all of your problems, but only money problems. People realize that, so they want to make money. But many of them believe they can't make money. They don't want any wealth creation to happen. So, they attack the whole enterprise by saying, well, making money is evil. You shouldn't do it. But they're actually playing the other game, which is the status game. They're trying to be high status in the eyes of other people watching by saying, well, I don't need money. We don't want money. The problem is, to win at a status game, you have to put somebody else down. That's why you should avoid status games in your life. An important thing for younger people starting out is to spend more time making the big decisions. There are basically 3 really big decisions you make in your early life: where you live, who you're with, and what you do. You have to say no to everything and free up your time so you can solve the important problems. Surround yourself with successful people. Figure out what you're good at, and start helping other people with it. Give it away. Karma works because people are consistent. Major reason for this race for money is because you want freedom. Once you can solve your money problems, either by lowering your lifestyle or by making enough money, you want to retire. Not retirement at 65 years old, but when you stop sacrificing today for an imaginary tomorrow. To get there, One way is to have so much money saved that your passive income covers your burn rate. A second is you just drive your burn rate down to zero, means you become a monk. A third is you're doing something you love. Find a work that feels to you like play. Then no one can compete you. Money is not the root of all evil. There's nothing evil about it. But the lust for money is bad because it is a bottomless pit. If you love money, and you make it, there's never enough. The best way to stay away from this constant love of money is to not upgrade your lifestyle as you make money. For success, there is a common word called luck. There are really 4 kinds of luck. The first kind of luck is blind luck, where one just gets lucky because something completely out of their control happened, like fortune, fate. Next is luck through persistence, hard work, hustle, and motion. This is when you're running around creating opportunities. A third way is you become very good at spotting luck. If you are very skilled in a field, you will notice when a lucky break happens in your field. The last kind of luck is where you build a unique character, a unique brand, a unique mindset, which causes luck to find you. To get rich without getting lucky, you need to be deterministic. Don't want to leave it to chance. Have a reputation that makes people do deals through you. It is very important to be patient. There is an indeterminate amount of time you have to put in to get the results. So, don't keep track, and don't keep count, because if you do, you will run out of time. Listen to guidance. But don't wait. Your real resume is just a catalogue of all your suffering. Money buys you freedom in the material world, but it's not going to make you happy. It will solve a lot of external problems. It's a reasonable step to go ahead and make money. But most of the time, the person you have to become to make money is a high anxiety, high stress, hard-working, competitive person. After doing that for 20, 30, 40 years, you can't turn it off. You've trained yourself to be a high anxiety person. Then, you have to learn how to be happy. In the old days, if you wanted to be peaceful inside, you would become a monk. You would give up everything, and you would go out in the woods by yourself. Today, with this wonderful invention called money, you can save money, you can live a little below your means, and you can find a certain freedom. But hard work is really overrated. Judgment is underrated. This judgment is defined as the wisdom of knowing the long-term consequences of your actions. The direction you're heading in matters more than how fast you move, especially with leverage. Part of making effective decisions boils down to dealing with reality. But our view to reality is clouded by the desires and the preconceived notions of the way it should be. To see the truth, you have to get your ego out of the way. The smaller you can make your ego, the less conditioned you can make your reactions, the easier it will be to see the reality. So, have empty space in your schedule. You will do better work if you're bored, rather than busy. Naval encourages to take at least 1 day a week where you just have time to think. Our egos are constructed in our first 2 decades. They get constructed by our environment, our parents, society. Then, we spend the rest of our life trying to make our ego happy. It's really important to uncondition yourself, to be able to take your habits apart. Keep asking questions like, does it still serve me? Does it make me happier? There are 2 attractive lessons about suffering in the long term. It can make you accept the world the way it is, and it can make your ego change in an extremely hard way. The classical virtues are all decision-making heuristics to make one optimize for the long term rather than for the short term. If you have a criticism of someone, then don't criticize the person, criticize the general approach, or criticize the class of activities. For praising, find the person who is the best example of what you're praising and praise the person, specifically. Then people's egos and identities will not work against you. They will work for you. The brain is a memory prediction machine. What you want is mental models. We are fundamentally ignorant and very bad at predicting the future. There are many, so by hit and trial you need to check what works best for you. If the 2 are even and one has short-term pain, that path has long-term gain associated. Your brain is overvaluing the side with the short-term happiness and trying to avoid the one with short-term pain. The most efficient way to build mental models is to read a lot. Just read. Explain what you learn to someone else. Teaching forces learning. Read the greats in math, science, and philosophy. Ignore your contemporaries and news. Put truth above social approval. Study logic and math, because once you've mastered them, you won't fear any book. Again, for reading also, foundations are very important. The best way to have a high-quality foundation is to stick to science and to the basics. The moment you start wandering outside of these solid foundations, you're in trouble, because now you don't know what's true and what's false. Now comes the second part of the book, happiness. The three big ones in life are wealth, health, and happiness. We pursue them in that order, but their importance is reverse. Meaning of happiness varies from person to person. So, it's very important to explore what these definitions are. Happiness is there when you remove the sense of something missing in your life. It's about the absence of desire for external things. Looking outside yourself for anything is the fundamental delusion. If you ever want to have peace in your life, you have to move beyond good and evil. Everything is perfect exactly the way it is. It is only in our particular minds we are unhappy or not happy, and things are perfect or imperfect because of what we desire. The world just reflects your own feelings back at you. Reality is neutral. You're born, you have a whole set of sensory experiences and stimulations, and then you die. How you choose to interpret them is up to you, you have that choice. So, we can say that happiness is a choice, and you can start working on it. Real happiness comes from acceptance, not from changing your external environment. At any given time, our mind is engaged in future planning or thinking about past. Very less portion is focused on the present. We destroy our happiness by spending our time living in delusions of the future or comparing things from the past to the present. Happiness is more about peace than it is about joy. If you pay attention to your mind, it is always chattering, resulting in anxiety. The anxiety is just a series of running thoughts. A happy person isn't someone who's happy all the time. It's someone who effortlessly interprets events in such a way that they don't lose their innate peace. Most people think of someone as successful when they win a game. The real winners are the ones who step out of the game entirely, who don't even play the game, who rise above it. Those are the people who have such internal mental and self-control and self-awareness, they need nothing from anybody else. All of man's troubles arise because he cannot sit in a room quietly by himself. If you could just sit for 30 minutes and be happy, you are successful. Peace is happiness at rest, and happiness is peace in motion. Today, the way we think you get peace is by resolving all your external problems. But there are unlimited external problems. The only way to actually get peace on the inside is by giving up this idea of problems. Life is not hard, we make it hard. Try to get rid of is the word should. Doing something because you should basically means you don't actually want to do it. It's just making you miserable. The enemy of peace of mind is expectations drilled into you by society and other people. Training yourself to be happy is completely internal. There is no external progress, no external validation. Happiness is built by your habits. And you are a combination of your habits and the people who you spend the most time with. Don't hang around people who constantly engage in conflict. Develop habit of insight meditation. Be aware in every moment. Recover time and happiness by minimizing your use of smartphone apps, phone, calendar, and alarm clock. The more secrets you have, the less happy you're going to be. Set a personal metric. How much of the day is spent doing things out of obligation rather than out of interest? To change old bad habits, pick one thing. Cultivate a desire. Visualize it. Plan a sustainable path. Identify needs, triggers, and substitutes. Tell your friends. Track meticulously. Bake in a new self-image. It's who you are now. Death is the most important thing that is ever going to happen to you. When you look at your death and you acknowledge it, rather than running away from it, it'll bring great meaning to your life. If you fully acknowledge the futility of what you're doing, then it can bring great happiness and peace because you realize this is a game. But it's a fun game. All that matters is you experience your reality as you go through life. Why not interpret it in the most positive possible way? Project some love. Make someone happy. Laugh a little bit. Appreciate the moment. And do your work. Never try to be somebody else. Just listen to the little voice inside your head that wants to do things a certain way. Then, you get to be you. Make your health as top priority. Like the navel, first priority is physical health, second is mental health, and third is spiritual health. For physical health, a correct diet should probably look closer to a paleo diet, mostly eating vegetables with a small amount of meat and berries. In terms of exercise, we're probably meant to play instead of running on a treadmill. We're probably evolved to use all of our 5 senses equally. But in modern society, almost all of our inputs and communication are visual. We're not meant to walk in shoes, as a lot of back and foot problems come from shoes. We're not meant to have clothes keep us warm all of the time because some exposure to cold kickstarts our immune system. Don't check phone every 5 minutes. The constant mood swings of getting a like, then an angry comment makes us into anxious creatures. Avoid diet that involves combination of sugar and fat together, as it is really deadly. The more processed the food, the less one should consume. The harder the workout, the easier the day. It almost doesn't matter what you do. The important thing is to do something every day. Basically, if you are making the hard choices right now in what to eat, making the hard choice to work out. So, your life long-term will be easy. You won't be sick. You won't be unhealthy. For mental health, meditation is very powerful. It puts an emphasis on the breath because it is a gateway into your autonomic nervous system. Meditation is intermittent fasting for the mind. Another method is to just sit there and you close your eyes for at least 1 hour a day. You surrender to whatever happens, don't make any effort whatsoever. If there are thoughts running through your mind, you let them run. Just keep observing them. With practice, you will resolve a lot of these deep-seated unresolved things you have in your mind. Then you will reach a state of joy and bliss and peace. Once you have it, you don't want to give it up. Naval recommends to try meditation 60 days of 1 hour a day, first thing in the morning. After about 60 days, you will be tired of listening to your own mind. You will resolve a lot of mental issues. The advantage of meditation is recognizing just how out of control your mind is. Modern humans live too much in this internal monologue in our heads. All of which is just programmed into you by society and by the environment when you were younger. As you get older, the sum of preferences you've accumulated is very, very large. Meditation is turning off society and listening to yourself. Life is going to play out the way it's going to play out. There will be some good and some bad. Most of it is actually just up to your interpretation. Always be in an internal state of revolution. You should always be internally ready for a complete change. That's all you need to do. Use your judgment to figure out what kinds of environments you can thrive in, and then create an environment around you so you're statistically likely to succeed. If there's something you want to do later, do it now. There is no later. Be aware there are no adults. Everyone makes it up as they go along. You have to find your own path, picking, choosing, and discarding as you see fit. Figure it out yourself, and do it. If you hurt other people because they have expectations of you, that's their problem. They're going to have lots of expectations out of life. The sooner you can dash their expectations, the better. Value your time. It is all you have. It's more important than your money. To free from anger, understand that anger is a contract you make with yourself to be in physical and mental and emotional turmoil until reality changes. The mind should be a servant and a tool, not a master. Try to break the habit of uncontrolled thinking. There is no endpoint to self-awareness and self-discovery. It's a lifelong process you hopefully keep getting better and better at. Regarding the meaning of life, Naval gives 3 answers. Answer 1, it's personal. You have to find your own meaning. Answer 2, there is no meaning to life. There is no purpose to life. Anything you do will fade. It will disappear, just like the human race will disappear and the planet will disappear. You have to create your own meaning, which is what it boils down to. You have to decide. Answer 3, the last answer is stitched from some theories. The second law of thermodynamics states entropy only goes up, which means disorder in the universe only goes up, which means concentrated free energy only goes down. If you look at living things, these systems are locally reversing entropy. In the process, we globally accelerate entropy until the heat death of the universe. Similarly, you can create your own fanciful theory that we're headed towards the heat death of the universe. In that death, there's no concentrated energy, and everything is at the same energy level. Therefore, we're all one thing. We're essentially indistinguishable. Find your core values and live by them. Those can be honesty, long-term thinking, not getting angry. Naval calls his philosophy as rational Buddhism. The rational part means he reconciles with science and evolution. Rational Buddhism means understanding the internal work Buddhism espouses to make yourself happier, better off, more present and in control of your emotions, being a better human being. At last, it is only the present we have. There is actually nothing but this moment. Here we shall wind up the video. If you like this, hit a like, share it with your friends. Subscribe to this channel for more such videos and hit bell icon to get notified about the latest updates.